Hello, and welcome to the fifth Black Women in Media Conference and Awards. I am Shanice Lewis, and I am going to be your moderator and co panelist for today's fashion panel. So, we are so excited to have these three very accomplished women in the fashion industry. We have Melissa Mitchell, Iman Ingram, and Shatava Lindsay. And so I'm going to let everyone give a brief little bio about themselves so we can learn who they are and their brand. So we're going to start with you, Iman.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Iman Ingram, and I am the fashion designer of By Iman Akila. I design clothes to redefine the way women view, embrace, and wear their curves. So our motto is you don't have to wear knit for the perfect fit. So we use woven fabric to enhance your curves, accentuate your curves, and to show you to embrace them. So that's who we are. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We design from extra small to 3X. And I'm really passionate about making sure that women who are curvier have hips and behinds, and large breasts, that you know that your curves should be celebrated, not tolerated, and that's who I am as a designer.
Yay.
Awesome. Now, what about you, Melissa?
I am Melissa Mitchell. I'm the Chief Artistic Director of ABL Creations, and I started as just a regular old painter that enjoyed doing different things on different textures. And I said one day I was out at a show and everyone kept asking me what I had on. I kept having to give them another designer's name. I said I need to start wearing my own stuff. And so I used to have my hair in a big fro, and I needed to keep it wrapped up. So I started with head wraps, then I started with kimonos, then I branched out into athleisure, and then I went to wedding gowns, and you name it, I haven't stopped. And so I guess my motto is that I'm my own best walking billboard. And so instead of passing business cards, I can just wear something that I designed, and now everybody wants to know, where'd you get that from? And so that's how my design story came to life.
And you design more than clothes, right? Because I saw like pillows
So
and all kind of stuff.
home decor. I've gotten some art on cars, buildings, billboards. I'm working on an airplane, buses. I mean, anywhere
Yes.
art on, that's my goal. But of course, we know as Black women, we always start with our fashion. So that's my true passion.
All right, and Shatava.
Hi, guys. I'm Shatava. I am the owner of Hourglass, spelled Ourglass. I look at every woman's figure as their glass. So, in essence, my glass is my figure, your glass is your figure, and our glass is our figures as a whole. So, that's why I came up with the line. I do two collections a year, a spring and a fall collection. I just recently released, actually yesterday, my dripping collection. And yeah, we embrace all sizes from small to 3X. I hand make the clothes, so I make sure I embrace everyone and their varying body types, from hips to waist to bust. I mean, all women are curvy, no matter what size you are. Like you said, it's just embracing those curves and being unapologetically yourself and not caring what anybody else has to say about you or say about your fashion. So we are about embracing who you are, loving yourself, and celebrating your curves.
I am so excited that all three of you have size diversity in your brands, because when I heard I was going to moderate this, I'm plus size and I have a podcast about plus size fashion. And I was like, one of the things I'm going to tell them, if they don't include plus size, they leaving money on the table. But you all are already in there. So I'm so excited that I can wear clothing from the people I'm talking to. So that's exciting to me because that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the theme of the conference this year is pivot. And so we're going to talk about how you had to pivot this year. As you all know, we are in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and nothing ever has happened like this in our lifetime. So a lot of us didn't know what to do, didn't have an example to follow, and just had to do as Black women do, make it work.
For
So
sure.
Tell us, how did you pivot your brand during this pandemic? And we're gonna later on talk about, the obstacles facing it, but just how did you start with Ingrid? No, I'm sorry, not Ingrid. I'm messing up already. Come on. That was how you had to pivot.
So I celebrated 5 years as an entrepreneur in January, and in January, when I first got started, I went to school for fashion design, and when I first got started, I said, okay, I'm going to release these collections, right? So long story short, I released 2 collections, and then I said, okay, I want to open up a retail store. So I had 2 locations over the past 4 years after that. I had 2 locations, one in Atlantic Station and one in Perimeter Mall here in Atlanta. And I closed them, and we went completely e-com after 2 years. And in January of this year, I said, okay, I need to get back to why I started. And that was to have a clothing line and to put my designs out and that redefine the way women wear their curves. So we launched our collection back as a fashion design label, a clothing line in January, and then the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, we were coming out with 6 styles. We actually only released 1, and we were manufacturing them in New York. Fast forward to now, we stopped manufacturing in New York and we went completely in-house. So we have a full functional facility here in Atlanta that I operate, that is now a clothing factory. So we're able to produce upwards of 50 units per week in-house, and I have a full cut and sewing team that comes in Monday through Friday, cutting and sewing and getting our collection out. So so this pandemic has taught me resilience and to how to take a terrible situation, kind of scale it down, because my dream was to relaunch with 6 styles. We only did 1 style, and it was still a success. And then it was the manufacturing, the lead times because of COVID and not being able to get my customers their pieces as quickly as I wanted to. And because of that, we decided, hey, let's just move it in-house and see how we can make that work. So yeah, and that's what we've done. We're all fully functional, full-time cutting sewers and getting it done.
Nice. And what about you, Melissa? I muted you. Okay, got it.
So my story is interesting. So obviously I'm an artist, so I like all things beautiful. I feel like people need to feel and touch my art. And so I had all this stuff planned for 2020. This is my year, big vision. I'm expanding. I'm going to art shows. God was like, nope. And so all of that was halted. So as you can see, I wear head wraps, I wear clothing. So I like people to see it. And so when everything hit, I literally packed up my house. I thought this was the end of the world, because I was like, well, I guess 2020, this is it. So I moved all of my stuff to my mom's house, because I was like, I don't know if they're going to shut down the highways. We just never knew what was going to happen. And so while I was at the house, they said, hey, before you go out, you need to put on a mask. So we were scrambling looking for masks. I was like, these masks are so ugly. I was like, I need a mask to match what I'm wearing. If I'm going to be all dolled up in this grocery store, I could at least be cute. So I came back home after trying to be at home. I came back to my own house. I had all this fabric for my new collections that were coming out. So I turned everything I had in my house into masks. And so I took all of my inventory and said, you know what? I may not be selling head wraps, so people need masks. So I did the first 100, 200. I sold out in 3 minutes. I had to then develop an in-house text mobile, like a fan club system to let people know when the mask came out. They sold out in minutes. So thousands and thousands of masks sold. And I said, wow, I would have been sitting on a gold mine had I been so dead set on this is how 2020 should have looked. So I took that, this pandemic has just taught me how to, of course, really strengthen my e-commerce personality, tell my story as an entrepreneur, not be saying, what are you up to? Oh, everything's great. No, I'm not having a good day. I'm depressed. I'm at home. I'm going for a walk only because I don't want to be in the house. I don't like being here. And just being very transparent about it while telling people to take your echinacea, to take your ginger, all those things, and also painting and creating. So once things open up a little bit more, I was able to create masks, not only for myself, but for Ford Motor Company, Essence Magazine, and now I'm the official designer for City of Atlanta mask as well. So it went from
Yeah.
it went from wanting to be this one thing, and God said, I got 5 more things for you to do. So there's a blessing in the pivot. Don't despise your pivot. And my parents are pastors, so I always think about Daniel and all the different people in the Bible that were put in these pits, and they were like, well, what am I supposed to do here? Figure it out. And then when you come out of that, that's where your blessing is. So the pivot has been a blessing, but it's been a classroom for me as well. So I'm just glad that I'm still hanging on. Like Iman said, I'm successful, but I'm a student of life because of the pivot.
Amen. And Shatava.
Yes. So yeah, my story is so similar to Iman. I had 2 clothing boutiques that I ran for the last 3 years, one out of Nashville, Tennessee, and one in Sandy Springs in Atlanta. So my story was before COVID, I was running back and forth between my store in Atlanta and the store in Nashville. Just because I've had to learn that no one's going to run your business like you're going to run it. So even though you think that you can open up, I had this huge idea, like I'm going to open up multiple locations and I'll be able to show the world, all of my clothes and my brands in different cities. Really? Okay. So you really have to come up with an effective plan on doing that, because if you don't have the right people to run your locations, then you're going to be scrambling and trying to figure out what to do. Somebody's not at the store. So who's going to work? I got to take my butt from Atlanta to Nashville, Tennessee to open up my store today because my worker is not available. And not only are they not available, they know that I don't live in Tennessee. So it's like, I see people doing it all the time, running multiple locations. How are they doing this? Because I am literally running myself crazy. Okay. So last year, crazy thing happened. My boutique in Sandy Springs, there was a fire in the building. Like fire, meaning, first of all, I design clothes and I have boutique items. So the smell of the fire, crazy. Second thing is I had a hemp store to move next door to me. So I don't know if y'all know about hemp, but the smell, listen, I don't know what they do during that extraction process, but that smell was crazy. So my landlord gave me an out and was like, okay, because all of this is happening, I'm going to allow you to get out of your lease, right? And I'm like, okay, this is great. I can hit the ground running. This is right before COVID now. I can hit the ground running, open up a different location. Even relocating to another location is difficult because everyone knows where you are. And then you're having to relocate somewhere else. So long story short, trying to relocate, I had to reevaluate my whole situation and going back and forth and then trying to open up a new location. So I closed my locations. When I closed my locations, I completely felt like a failure. Like I failed myself. I failed my customers, but I had to reevaluate again, like you said, in the purpose of me really running my clothing business. So when COVID hit, again, last year, we did Essence Festival. We did a lot of events to expand on the brand. COVID hit. And I thought this year I had it all planned out. We're going to do events, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do all this stuff. No. So I had to learn and master e-commerce, meaning my website, getting my marketing out, email blasts, like everything, even the little things that you don't think of in your business that are so important. I know we as designers are really focused on the design aspect of everything, but then when you have to get up and focus on the marketing and the branding and everything to encompass a whole brand, it gets to be a lot. So one for me was building a great team that's going to help me really to build my brand. So I learned to, one, stop being so hands-on. In order for a business to be very successful, you have to kind of step away and have a blueprint in place for other people to run it. The reason why my Nashville store failed is because I believe I didn't have the right blueprint. I didn't have everything written down. So if someone was to pick that up, they can run it without me. So this year during COVID, I learned to focus and get my blueprint together. My business is together, but the blueprint on exactly running the business and the design aspect of it, like you guys said, it was hard sourcing fabric. I had to source fabric. Normally I produce overseas. So now I'm in-house in Atlanta producing. We just finalized my new collection. Thank God for that, because it was a whole struggle. And yeah, that's my long story of design and my business.
So in the middle of this pandemic, clothing companies, retailers, designers took a major hit because a lot of places closed down. I think like 30% of clothing retailers went bankrupt and closed down. But then something interesting happened with the racial injustice and the focus on Black businesses. So I'm curious if the pandemic was a hit to you, or what affected you more? Was it the boost of Black businesses, or did it kind of even out? Whoever feels it, take it away.
So for me, I don't know. Were you about to speak, Melissa? Okay. So for me, like I said, we only released one dress this summer, right? We released one dress, or spring, summer. We just released one dress in 5 different colors. And initially, when I was manufacturing, I only got 50 made. We sold out of those 50 in a week. And we went on to sell 300 this summer. And that was literally one dress, one SKU, just did 5 different colors. And I don't know whether I can't say whether or not it was because of COVID. I mean, not COVID, because of the racial injustice. We do a lot on paid advertising, so I'm huge on Facebook ads and all of that. So that, and a mix of Afterpay, did have this big Black business boost. So maybe the racial injustice, but we did not. We took a hit because I wanted to release 6 styles, but it was a blessing in disguise because we went on to sell 300 dresses of one color, and it was definitely a blessing.
Well, for me, I'm not only an artist and a designer, but also an activist, and so I was able to use my platform as a wearable art designer to talk to companies on behalf of artists and creatives. And so I did a really dope rollout with Home Depot they have something called the Backyard Experience. And so not only was I able to talk about my inspiration behind why I'm a painter, but also why I choose not to just hide behind my paintings and my creations. And so I actually talked about being a Black woman, being a painter, being the 1% of the 1% of Black creators, and actually doing that. And so companies are now looking to authentic storytellers within the design community. And I've been able to do that for not only for them, but a few other companies. So I saw the pandemic and the social injustice as those stumbling rocks that became our platform to say, hey, if you are strong enough to share your voice, you need to do it now. And so I went on to create clothing that had slogans, that had messages. So I just came out with a shirt that said, and it all came down to a city with the mayor named Keisha, to celebrate Georgia flipping blue. And so people are like, oh, that's dope. That's dope. And so now she's going to end up wearing the shirt. But for me, it was like my art is now all over the world. But it lets us know that we have a voice, whether we sell 300 dresses or 50 shirts, we're sharing something with people that we may have never seen coming into your store in Cumberland Mall or, at Sandy Springs. And now our e-commerce platforms are growing more now. And so while we have their attention, we can also share our opinions about what's going on with the world. So I think that while I did take a hit, it actually gave me a push to be a little bit more vocal about something I was passionate about.
The pandemic allowed me, I'm unmuted. The pandemic allowed me to get closer to my customer, realizing that, at times we're running around trying to get everything together, but we're not really understanding the foundation of who our customers are, what they're feeling right now, like how the pandemic and everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter, how that's affecting them. So I use the opportunity to really get to know my customers, send out more email blasts on touching on emotions, like saying how I'm feeling, telling my story of this is what's happening with me during these times. How do you feel? So I really wanted to, understand my customer, understanding how they're feeling during this pandemic. Like, sometimes, yes, we push our brands, but we want to know, these people are invested in us. They're buying from us, who are these people? So just taking the time to really get to know the customer, really understand them and their feelings. And from there, even with my new collection, I just released my Dripped in Graffiti collection. Before I dropped 5 pieces. And before I dropped, I got a chance to really talk to my customers about the new collection that was coming up, because people had time. People were online, people were willing to do live videos and give constructive criticism and feedback. So I really took advantage of that, and exactly what they were looking for, how they were looking, just their input to make it feel like, they're a part of the brand as well, and that I listened to the customers. So my biggest thing, again, was just getting to know who they are, taking advantage of, I had these stores, I had so many customers. Let me reach out to them. Let me figure out a text messaging system to reach them. People really like personal touch to, they're investing in you. So how are you impacting them personally and making them feel? So I just really took advantage of that during this time.
I'm curious, did any of you have to pivot on your price point? Because a lot of people are unemployed now. They are in the lines getting food. Look how you're like, no.
Yeah.
No, people spend money on what they want to spend money on.
Exactly.
And right now, there's a huge thing with like Afterpay, Sizzle, all of those different platforms where people can make 4 small payments with no interest. And I get a lot of organic traffic from Afterpay. And they help you promote as well. And I think, like Melissa said, people spend money on what they want to spend money on. And they're buying clothes, face masks, and head wraps, and they're buying. And
you have to think about it. It's during a pandemic. People aren't going a lot of places. So most people are just sitting online and they have money to spend because they're not spending it during the pandemic. So people are shopping during the pandemic.
Absolutely. And I know for me as an artist, I was nervous about it. So people don't understand art. They need to see it. So me sharing my story authentically with different posts and different videos, people want it. Like, I want whatever you're talking about. So that became my selling point. I was like, well, it's $10,000. I'm like, okay. I was like, y'all in Flint? Okay, well, it's $12,000, so I never had to change my price point, but I did offer a wider variety. So my masks are only $20, $25, and I have something that goes all the way up to $1,000. So I did consider, coming out with pillows and blankets, things that people that ordinarily wouldn't buy a head wrap, they may buy a blanket for their granddaughter. So I created more products to reach a different variety of people. So I did kind of pivot when it came to my offering of different things.
I was going to touch on that. I had to make the pivot, not to cut anybody off, but I had to make the pivot to release a loungewear collection. So like this month, whereas we're really, I don't know how I would describe my designing aesthetic, other than making sure that it's pieces that embrace the curves of a woman, and her natural curves. But we're releasing on Black Friday our loungewear collection. And that's just been the feedback from our audience, is that, hey, people are at home and people aren't necessarily going out where they need to be dolled up every day. Can I release a loungewear collection? So that's what we decided was going to be our November drop, is making sure that it's something that people want and making that pivot to please the customer.
Now, as business owners, were you nervous about, because like I'm a independent person too, working for myself, and so I don't have a job that provides health insurance for me. It's on my own. So as a business owner, were you nervous about, what if I get sick and I have to stop my collections and my business on hold? How am I going to survive? Was it a lot of stress in the what ifs during this pandemic?
Well, for me, I had to research some more print on demand options, because I was so adamant about, I want to touch every piece. I want to be here. I want to be there. And I was like, you know what? They know it's for me. They know I touched it at some point. So I just learned how to just reach out to other manufacturers. So with my pillows and blankets, they come directly from my manufacturer versus me keeping hundreds of pillows on hand. And so it's still stressful. I'm stressed out right now, honestly. I just trying to get ready for Black Friday and another release. And then people are calling. I'm getting samples dropped off right now. I'm glad I was on mute. So it's like all these different pieces as a female creator, in addition to trying to show up for our families. I know for me, especially, it's stressful every day. So I have to tell myself, it's just Monday. I got to take care of Monday. And I literally have done that every day this year. And God has shown up in a mighty way every day. I'm like, all right, Lord, I got through Sunday. What we gonna do by Monday? And I think that's how I survived, because when I started looking at the whole year, I was so stressed out that I was making myself sick. Like, what am I gonna do if I don't sell this art? What am I gonna do if people don't want to buy my mask? You know, what if I don't have the right filters? I was like literally overthinking every little thing. And then I looked up, I said, why would I waste that much of my time worrying about stuff I couldn't control? And it worked itself out. So I have to go back to those moments where I got through it to get through Mondays like today, because I'm getting emails from my boss right now. I also still work a full-time job at the same time.
Wow.
So it's not gonna be much longer, but I'm still here. But I'm learning to not do it when people tell me to leave. I'm like, I'm gonna do it when it feels uncomfortable, and we right there at the edge, right there.
So that means you got your health care insurance. You got a full-time job.
Yeah, and I have to. I mean, because I was stressed. I made myself physically sick, so I couldn't just leave when I wanted to, because I have to go to the doctor on a much more regular basis than normal people. Mm-hmm. So my mom was like, "Be smart now. We ain't be pushing you around. You better be smart. The art is cute, but you're gonna be in the hospital." So I had to make that really tough decision. Do I want to put 100% of my art, or give it 70% and still keep a job? So that's a really tough decision as entrepreneurs who want to take that leap, but still need that net to be safe.
To piggyback off of Melissa, for me, I'm afraid every day, and I have to go out. So my seamstresses, y'all live in Atlanta, or you're from Atlanta or have visited here, my seamstresses are in Norcross. And my warehouse is on Howell Mill. So, and they don't drive. So I'm having to go to Norcross, pick them up to take them to Howell Mill, which is stressful. My grandparents are older. They're in their 80s and 90s. My grandmother has rheumatoid arthritis. I'm helping them, going over to their house. I'm, coming in contact with people who also may be at the warehouse. And then I have a 7-year-old son. So trying to juggle from making sure that my son is not getting sick, or my grandparents are not getting sick, and having to wear all of these face masks, and trying to take care of myself so then I can take care of the people in my life that I love, is a huge factor. And trying to figure out that middle ground where I don't have to be the person in the middle to have to also be the transporter and the transportation is huge. Because I'm one woman, right? I'm a mom, I'm a granddaughter, daughter, and now I'm a damn taxi driver. And trying to do all of these different things is stressful to it's very stressful. It's stressful being a business owner, and very grateful to God and to my support system who helped me to be able to follow my dreams. Like I said, we celebrated 5 years, going on 6 years, and it has been hell, to say the least, but I wouldn't change the experience for anything.
I know for me, I really believe heavily on multiple streams of income. So I'm a fashion designer. I'm also an investor. So I own 5 properties in Detroit, Michigan, that I'm in the process. I'm actually in Detroit now. I live in Atlanta. I have a house in Detroit too, but I'm in Detroit now, working on rehabbing some of my homes. So, and I split a lot of my time between 2 businesses, because I feel if one is a little slower, the other one is always going to carry me. And with the real estate market, I've had to pivot from investing in Atlanta because the market was so great back in 2018 and not 18, even that, 2011, 2012, to now I'm investing in Detroit, Michigan. In fact, like I said, I have 5 houses here that I'm working on trying to rehab. So in the middle of trying to create a collection and trying to rehab my houses, I wanted to have all 5 completed in 2020, on top of dropping 2 collections. And when I tell you, your girl is going nuts and crazy, I'm trying to get contractors and painters and floors at a house while I'm trying to get sewers to produce my new line. Like, I think as Black women, we start to become super women. Like, we feel like we can do it all, which we can. It's just a matter of managing your time. And I feel like with COVID, because I did a pivot and I said, okay, I'm going to put my fashion business on hold, because I was having a really hard issue with getting fabrics, with getting trims and all of that. So I'm going to switch over right now, and I'm going to run my real estate business, because I got tenants that's saying they can't pay because it's COVID. And then I got these houses that are just sitting. But again, it's COVID, and I have to have contractors in these houses and be around those people. So I've just been very careful, especially around my family members. But I've also tried to know that I'm maintaining myself financially and I'm keeping business going and I'm keeping finances coming because like you said, it's really hard to, I left corporate America. I ended up getting laid off of my job. And I told God, my last job, I told God, I said, God, this is going to be the last job that I work. After this, I'm not working anymore. That's when I opened my first boutique store. 2 weeks later, I found out I was getting laid off. And I was like, God, wait a minute. You know, I told you this was going to be the last job, but you ain't tell me it was going to be 2 weeks I'm going to be laid off. So it's about, you know, understanding, like I said, I believe in multiple streams of income. So whatever you need to do to make sure your finances are together, just get them in order, get your finances in order and learn how to juggle multiple things because that's really going to help you in your life.
So moving into 2021, what are some trends that you learned from 2020 that you're going to put in place moving forward? Now, I notice on my social media, a lot of people are doing these pop-up shops now. I don't know why these pop-up shops are so popular because I don't want to go there with them blowing Corona in my face, but they got one every single weekend. So what are y'all putting in place for 2021?
In my business, I have completely pivoted how we're doing direct to consumer, e-commerce style. We're going to do 12 drops next year. We're going to do one every month. And each collection, well, I'll break it down a little differently. So we have 4 collections that will drop next year. But we're going to drop, so say for instance, for spring, we'll drop it in 3 different batches. So we'll drop 6 pieces in February, 6 pieces in March, and then in March, and then in April we'll drop the whole or 6 of the best sellers in a color that our audience chooses. So we'll do like a little, what color is your favorite color for this season, and we'll drop our best sellers in those. And the reason I'm doing that, and it'll only be available for 5 days out of the month, so it'll drop every month on the 15th, and this collection will be available from the 15th to the 20th, and then we'll ship on between the 27th through the 30th of the month, and then we'll jump back into it the next for the next month. But the reason I'm doing that is because 2020 has definitely shown me going into a direct to consumer through our warehouse and manufacturing that I needed to kind of grab my horns myself and control it, and being able to kind of gauge and train my customer, hey, this is the days that you'll be able to shop from us. The rest of the collection, if we still have some stock that's available and we haven't sold out in those 5 days, then yes, you can purchase. But I need to be able to gauge and to train my customers and to be able to say, okay, these are the days that we will be able to shop. These are the days that we'll be able to control our inventory. And that's been the biggest thing for us, is supply and demand. And I really need to take more control over that instead of my customers controlling it for me. So.
And so, ladies, briefly tell me about going into 2021 because we're towards the end of our time.
Okay. For me, my biggest lesson was to be flexible. And I always make a dream board with all these things that I must do and I will do, but I've also put a blank piece of paper up for God's plan because it may not be exactly like my plan. And I do that with my life and I do that with my business. So I've had to learn how to pivot very, very eloquently, and I'll do it with more ease in 2021.
One is connecting more to my customer. We do a lot of live sales. We do a live try-on haul. So even though a lot of things aren't able to be tried on, like we can't physically go to a store, we can show you how the fabric is, how the stretch is, and also showcase, again, we make clothing for all sizes. So I may get a small model and a plus size model to showcase the same look and how it fits on each model, just to show that we are hourglass. We are embracing everyone's curve. So just making sure we're visibly showing everyone how the clothes fit on different body types.
And so quickly, before we leave, I want everyone to tell us your website and your social media pages so we can follow each other and support each other.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, I'm melissaAmitchell.com. That's my website. Easy to find me, and it's links to all of my pages there. But if you want to go directly to Instagram, it's ABL Creations, and that's ABEILLE Creations, and that is on Instagram.
Right. I am Shop Hourglass. My website is www.shophourglass.com. Again, Hourglass is spelled Ourglass. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Shop Hourglass, and you can find me as I am Shatava. So.
And then I am Iman Ingram. We are by Iman Akila, and we can be found on everything at by Iman Akila. So Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. We are by IMANAKILAH, and we're www.byimanakila.com.
Awesome. And I've been your moderator today, Shanice Lewis. You can find me at shanicelewis.com and on all social media platforms at Shanice Lewis. Everything is in my government name. I'm not hard to find. So thank you, ladies, for being with me today for the fashion panel. I am glad you are all thriving and doing well during the pandemic, and I'm sure you're going to be an inspiration for many that want to follow in your footsteps. So thank you for joining us at the Black Women Media Conference and Awards, and stay tuned. There's lots of more great information coming up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.